There is an ancient Chinese saying, history serves as a mirror, revealing the rise and fall of nations. 5,000 years ago, the land we now call China was divided into numerous small states. While nominally submitting to the leadership of the Zhou king as the supreme ruler, these states gradually slipped from royal control as the Zhou dynasty's power waned while feudal lords grew stronger. For centuries, these small states warred against each other for population and territory, until finally unifying into a single nation, China. This often makes me wonder, is our modern world not mirroring that ancient Chinese landscape? Today, our planet contains over 100 nations, with humanity still frequently fighting over land, energy resources, and minerals. Will Earth eventually unify into a single global nation 1,000 years from now? I cannot say. But China's 5,000 years of recorded history contain countless fascinating, unbelievable, and thought-provoking stories. Let me select some from the vast historical records to share with you. If you're interested in China and its historical culture, you're welcome to follow me. Now let's begin today's story. King Ping of Zhou had long been discontent with Duke Zhong of Zheng's monopolization of court authority. However, considering that Duke Zhong had served in the court for many years, had deep-rooted influence and many trusted associates, he did not dare to show any overt expression. Yet in his heart he constantly pondered how to weaken Duke Zhuang's power. He noticed that Duke Zhong had been preoccupied with his own state's affairs for several years and had not attended court duties. Feeling this was an excellent opportunity, one day Duke Linfu of Guo came to Luyi to pay homage to King Ping of Zhou. King Ping discussed some court matters with him. Duke Guo's words greatly pleased King Ping. King Ping said to Duke Guo, "The father and son of Marquis Zheng have successively held power in the court for many years. Now they have been absent from court duties for a long time, leaving many affairs unresolved. I wish for you to temporarily act in his capacity. Please do not decline." Upon hearing this, Duke Linfu of Guo promptly knelt and kowtowed, tactfully replying, "Duke Zheng's prolonged absence from court is likely due to matters in his own state. If I temporarily assume his duties, Duke Zheng will certainly have thoughts about it. His resentment toward me would be a minor issue. But if he thereby resents your majesty, that would be unfortunate. It is not that I decline, but this matter requires careful consideration." After speaking, he kowtowed again, then rose to take leave of King Ping and returned to his own state. This matter quickly reached Duke Zhong of Zheng's ears. Upon learning the news, Duke Zhong of Zheng immediately rushed to Luyi. After paying respects to King Ping, he said, "I am indebted to your majesty's great kindness, enabling my father and me to serve successively in the court for many years. I know I lack talent and have achieved nothing noteworthy over the years, making me unworthy of retaining this position. I now wish to resign my title as minister and ask your majesty to select a more capable person." King Ping was greatly alarmed by Duke Zhuang's words, though he had long contemplated weakening Duke Zhong of Zheng's power. Duke Zhuang's sudden resignation now presented a difficult situation. He thought, how did he learn so quickly about my discussion with Duke Guo? This reveals the court's intricate relationships. Mishandling this could lead to major trouble. With this in mind, he forced a smile and said, "Dear Minister, your long absence has concerned me deeply. Your return brings me immeasurable joy. How can you speak such words?" Duke Zhong appeared superficially respectful, but his words carried weight. He bowed again to King Ping and stated, "During this period, rebellions by my disobedient brothers in my state prevented my attendance at court duties. I feared jeopardizing important court matters, causing me great unease. Now that domestic affairs are barely settled, I rush day and night to court. Rumors suggest your majesty intends to appoint Duke Guo. In ability, I am far inferior to Duke Guo, and occupying this position without contribution weighs heavily on my conscience." Hearing Duke Zhong explicitly mention Duke Guo, King Ping grew even more anxious. Unable to find appropriate words, he reluctantly said, "I also heard you are occupied with state affairs and unable to leave." Thus, I considered having Duke Guo manage matters temporarily until your return. Duke Guo repeatedly declined, so the matter was dropped. I truly have no other intention. You must not be suspicious. Instead of being appeased, Duke Zhou became more assertive and said coolly, "The authority to appoint personnel rests solely with your majesty. If you wish to appoint Duke Guo, I will immediately yield my position. Otherwise, people may think I cling to power and ignore propriety." Seeing Duke Zhuang's hardening stance, King Ping cautiously explained, "Your family has rendered great service to the court for generations, from Duke Huan and Duke Wu to yourself. You have successively served as ministers for over 40 years. Entrusting court authority to you has put me at ease. Now that you misunderstand me, how can I clarify? If my heart could be shown to you, I would have cut open my chest to display it. If you remain unconvinced, I have no choice but to send my son, Prince Hu, to your state of Zheng as a hostage." The authority of the Zhou Son of Heaven was originally supreme. However, since King Ping's eastward relocation, the royal house's power had waned, while the feudal states grew stronger. The Zhou Son of Heaven's commands carried less weight. At times, he even had to plead humbly with certain feudal lords, hearing King Ping offer to send the crown prince as a hostage. Duke Zhou of Zheng superficially feigned terror but inwardly remained arrogant. He said, "This must not be. Appointments are your majesty's prerogative. As a minister, my duty is to serve diligently. How could the Son of Heaven send his heir as a hostage to a subject?" King Ping said, "This is of no consequence. I know you govern effectively, and I wish for the crown prince to gain experience in your state while alleviating your doubts. If you refuse again, I will be at a loss." The more King Ping humbled himself, the more arrogant Duke Zhou became, steadfastly refusing. Ministers, witnessing the deadlock and wary of offending Duke Zhou while preserving King Ping's dignity, mediated. Without the prince going to Zheng, Duke Zhuang's doubts cannot be dispelled. Yet, sending the prince alone violates propriety. We propose sending Prince Hu to Zheng while Duke Zhou sends his heir, Prince Hu of Zheng, to Luyi. This compromise is fair and avoids mutual hostage-taking. King Ping immediately approved the proposal. Duke Zhou also nodded agreement. Henceforth, Prince Hu of Zhou resided in Zheng and Prince Hu of Zheng resided in Luyi. From then on, the Zhou Son of Heaven's status diminished in the eyes of the feudal lords. Though nominally the Son of Heaven, King Ping was effectively reduced to an ordinary feudal lord's stature. In 720 BC, King Ping of Zhou died. Duke Zhou of Zheng and Duke Haijian of Zhou jointly administered the Zhou court. They sent Prince Hu of Zheng back to his state and welcomed Prince Hu of Zhou to Luyi to succeed to the throne. Prince Hu of Zhou, deeply distressed during his hostagehood in Zheng and grieving his father's death, died shortly after returning to Luyi. The ministers deliberated and installed Prince Hu of Zhou's son, King Ping's grandson, as the new ruler, King Huan of Zhou. Young at his accession, King Huan could not tolerate Duke Zhou of Zheng's overbearingness. Recalling his father's humiliations as a hostage in Zheng, he felt profound injustice. Duke Zhuang's conduct over the years evoked both hatred and fear. One day, King Huan consulted Duke Haijian of Zhou. "Zheng Wuxing has never respected the court. Previously, he held my father hostage in Zheng. Now, despite my accession, he remains contemptuous. This lord-vassal relationship is untenable. I wish to fulfill our ancestors' intent by dismissing Duke Zhou as minister and appointing Duke Linfu of Guo in his stead. What is your view?" Duke Haijian of Zhou pondered and said, "Duke Zheng is ruthless and cunning, no loyal subject. However, when our Zhou court moved east from Haojing, the states of Qin, Jin, and Zheng contributed significantly. Your Majesty, newly enthroned, may be acting hastily in stripping Duke Zheng of power. Moreover, Zheng is powerful. Seizing his authority may provoke wrath. Could he take drastic action? We must be cautious." King Huan said, "Your words hold merit, but as the Son of Heaven, I cannot passively endure manipulation." Seeing King Huan's resolve, Duke Haijian said no more. The next morning, during court assembly, Duke Zhou of Zheng attended. King Huan said to him, "You are a senior minister of the previous king. I am young and dare not employ a former king's minister as my own. You may retire." Duke Zhou understood immediately. He said, "I long wished to resign, but the previous king refused. Now, your majesty's wisdom acknowledges my difficulties. I depart." He left the court without looking back. Returning to Zheng, Duke Zhou was greeted 30 li beyond the city by his heir, Prince Hu of Zheng, and officials. Duke Zhou relayed King Huan's dismissal. The officials were indignant. General Gao Zumi said, "Zheng has assisted Zhou for over 40 years with great merit. The new king's heartless decision upon accession is unbearable. I will lead troops to Luyi, depose this foolish king, install another, and vent our wrath." Yingke Oshu urgently dissuaded him, "Do not. Nominally, we have a lord-vassal relationship with Zhou. Our ancestors rendered great service to the Zhou court. Zheng enjoys high prestige among states, envied by all. We must not ruin our reputation in a fit of anger. Moreover, respecting the royal house is our banner to rally the lords. We cannot discard it lightly. I advise patience. After some time, his lordship may again court visit King Huan to gauge any change before deciding further action. This is the safe strategy." Duke Zhou hesitated between the opinions. Minister Ji Zhong said, "Both views are viable." Some ministers were perplexed. These opinions oppose each other. How can both be adopted? Ji Zhong said, "Action depends on circumstances. Let me lead troops to the borders of the capital Luyi, claiming domestic famine and seeking grain from the court. If the Son of Heaven refuses and reprimands us, we have justification to attack Luyi. If he grants grain without reproach, we refrain. Later, his lordship may court visit to assess his attitude before deciding further. This is not too late." Duke Zhou approved Ji Zhong's plan, ordering him to lead troops near Luyi to probe the situation and act opportunistically. Ji Zhong led troops near the Zhou capital Luyi, telling local officials, "Zheng suffers poor harvests, lacking grain. We seek to borrow 1,000 zhong a unit. 1 zhong equaled 640 liters from you." The official, daunted by the request, said, "Without the Son of Heaven's order, I cannot decide. I must report to the Son of Heaven for approval before releasing grain." Ji Zhong said, "Since you cannot decide, do not trouble yourself. The wheat is ripe. We will help ourselves. No need to inform the Son of Heaven." Without awaiting reply, he ordered, "All soldiers, prepare sickles, disperse to the fields and harvest the wheat." At his command, Zheng soldiers, fierce as wolves, scattered to the fields. Harvesting all wheat, loading it onto carts, and transporting it to Zheng, Ji Zhong personally led elite troops to provide cover. Local officials and people, witnessing Zheng's aggression, dared not resist, watching helplessly as the wheat was taken. After plundering the wheat, Ji Zhong stationed troops near Luyi for over 3 months, preventing autumn sowing. By mid-July, Ji Zhong moved troops to the Chengju area east of present-day Luoyang, Henan. The early rice was ripe. Ji Zhong ordered Zheng soldiers to disguise as merchants, positioning carts in advance. At midnight, the entire army mobilized, harvesting rice from the fields, loading carts, and escorting the grain in a grand procession to Zheng. By the time Chengju guards detected the activity and mobilized pursuit, Zheng's grain-plundering troops had long departed. The Chengju commander reported the incident to King Huan of Zhou. Enraged, King Huan said, "They seized wheat from Wen and Luo in summer, and now rice from Chengju in autumn. How can such actions be tolerated?" He ordered mobilization for punitive action. Duke Haijian of Zhou urged restraint. "Your Majesty, calm your anger. Ji Zhong's grain plunder, though infuriating, is ultimately a minor border incident. Do not act rashly over petty grievances. Moreover, Duke Zheng may be unaware. If he understands propriety and acknowledges the wrongdoing, he may come to court and apologize. I advise patience. If they persist unreasonably, punitive action will not be too late." King Huan considered Duke Haijian's words and said, "As you advise. But order border guards to heighten vigilance and strengthen defenses, weighing the royal house's strength, King Huan decided thus. The two grain plundering incidents were not pursued further. Duke Zhong of Zheng had sent Ji Zhong to provoke conflict. Seeing no response after two incidents, he grew uneasy, unsure of the situation, and decided to court visit King Huan. Just as Duke Zhong of Zheng was preparing to depart, a messenger suddenly arrived with news that an envoy from the state of Qi had come. Qi being a major power, Duke Zhong had long desired to establish relations with the Marquis of Qi. He hurried out personally to receive the Qi envoy. After exchanging formal greetings, the Qi envoy conveyed Duke Shi of Qi's regards to Duke Zhong. They agreed that the rulers of both states would meet at Shimen. When Duke Zhong of Zheng and Duke Shi of Qi met at Shimen, they found their conversation remarkably congenial. They pledged mutual assistance in future matters. Hearing that Duke Zheng's son was particularly promising, Duke Shi inquired, "I've heard your heir prince who has come of age. Might I ask if he is yet married?" Duke Zheng replied that he was not. Duke Shi of Qi said, "My youngest daughter is not uncomely in appearance. If you would be willing, let us join our houses in marriage. What think you?" Recognizing that an alliance with a major state like Qi would enhance his prestige and ensure support when needed, Duke Zhong readily agreed. "Excellent, excellent." Upon returning to Zheng, Duke Zhong informed his heir prince Hu about the proposed marriage alliance with Qi. To his surprise, Prince Hu objected, "Marriage should not be compelled. Our Zheng is a small state while Qi is great. I dare not aspire so high." Duke Zhong countered, "It was the Marquis of Qi who proposed this match, not our seeking above our station. An alliance with Qi could provide support in future difficulties. You need not decline." Prince Hu remained firm. A true man establishes himself through his own merits. How can he rely on marital connections? Seeing his son's principled stance, Duke Zhong pressed no further. Later, when Qi sent envoys to Zheng and learned of Prince Hu's refusal, they reported this to Duke Shi. "Being magnanimous," Duke Shi remarked, "the Zheng heir shows both ambition and humility. It's right not to force marriage matters. My daughter is still young. We can reconsider this later." After concluding state affairs, Duke Zhong prepared to pay homage to King Huan of Zhou. Just as he was about to depart, news arrived that Duke Huan of Wei had been assassinated, with Prince Zhuyu seizing the throne. Duke Zhong immediately summoned his ministers, declaring, "We must prepare our defenses. It won't be long before Zhuyu attacks us." The ministers were perplexed by this sudden pronouncement. "How does your lordship know he will attack? Isn't Wei embroiled in internal strife? How could they contemplate attacking Zheng?" Duke Zhong explained, "Zhuyu is violent and bellicose. Having murdered his elder brother to seize power, he faces domestic opposition. To divert attention, he must wage foreign wars, displaying his might while temporarily redirecting internal conflicts outward." Some ministers remained skeptical. Even if Zhuyu wages war abroad, why necessarily against Zheng? Duke Zhong elaborated, "Wei borders Jin to the west, Qi to the east, faces the Chidi to the north, with only Zheng to the south. The other states are too formidable to provoke rashly. Given historical tensions between Zheng and Wei, attacking us would be his natural choice to demonstrate authority." The ministers unanimously praised, "How wise our Lord is! We would never have discerned this. Now let us examine the situation in Wei." Duke Zhong of Wei had 3 sons, the eldest Wan, second Jin, and youngest Zhuyu. Being the favorite concubine's son, Zhuyu was excessively indulged. From childhood he behaved outrageously, yet Duke Zhong never disciplined him. Emboldened by this favor, Zhuyu became increasingly unrestrained. Minister Qiu repeatedly advised Duke Zhong to discipline Zhuyu, but the Duke not only ignored him, but grew to resent Qiu. Seeing Zhuyu's worsening behavior, Qiu steeled himself to admonish the Duke. Loving one's child means teaching proper conduct, not letting him stray down wicked paths. Excessive indulgence breeds arrogance, and arrogance leads to lawlessness. Your lordship should restrain Zhuyu." Duke Zhong remained unmoved. Qiu's son Shi Hu, being Zhuyu's contemporary, was strictly raised. However, preoccupied with court affairs, Q could only discipline through severe beatings when discovering misconduct and ineffective method. Moreover, she who had befriended Zhou since childhood, when they committed misdeeds together, Zhou enjoyed the duke's protection, making it difficult for Q to discipline his own son properly. Thus Shi Hu too became increasingly corrupt. Once, when Zhou directed Shi Hu to harm commoners, Q had Shi Hu bound, whipped 50 lashes, and locked in an empty room. That night Shi Hu broke the window and escaped over the wall, thereafter residing with Zhou and never returning home, leaving Q powerless. When Duke Zhong of Wei died, Zhou coveted the throne. But by primogeniture rules, Prince Wan succeeded as Duke Huan of Wei. Resentful, Zhou plotted day and night to murder his brother and seize power. Duke Huan, being weak-willed, honest yet indecisive, took no action against Zhou after ascending the throne. By then Q had retired from court due to old age, leaving Zhou completely unchecked. One day when Duke Huan planned to visit King Huan of Zhou in Luyi, Shi Hu told Zhou, "The ruler goes to Luyi if you wish to act. Here's your perfect opportunity." He then advised, "Host a farewell banquet at the West Gate tomorrow. I'll ambush 500 soldiers outside. When the moment comes, strike together for certain success." Having long plotted this, Zhou was delighted with the opportunity and Shi Hu's counsel. He ordered Shi Hu to lead the ambush while he first prepared the banquet at the Westgate guesthouse, then welcomed Duke Huan there. At the banquet, Zhou rose to toast Duke Huan, elder brother embarks on a long journey fraught with hardships. "I offer you this cup," respectfully presenting the wine with both hands. Duke Huan drank it gratefully. "You trouble yourself greatly. My absence will be brief. I entrust state affairs to you during this time." He then poured wine to toast Zhou. Zhou pretended to fumble, dropping the cup. Retrieving it, he went to wash it himself. The guileless Duke Huan called for another cup, filled it, and presented it to Zhou with both hands. Seizing his moment, Zhou swiftly stepped behind Duke Huan, drew a dagger, and stabbed him in the back, the blade piercing his chest. Duke Huan cried out and died instantly. Knowing Zhou's cruelty and seeing Shi Hu's soldiers surrounding the guest house, none dared object. Complying with Zhou's orders to claim, Duke Huan died suddenly of illness. After murdering Duke Huan, Zhou proclaimed himself ruler, appointing Shi Hu as senior minister. Duke Huan's other brother, Prince Jin, fearing assassination, fled to Qing. As paper cannot wrap fire, news of Zhou's regicide spread quickly. Fearing domestic unrest and lacking prestige among feudal lords to secure his position, Zhou consulted Shi Hu. "I need to establish authority among neighboring states through military campaigns to redirect domestic tensions. Where should we begin?" Shi Hu pondered, then said, "We should start here.